welcome to all of you, particularly to our panelists and guests for this evening. Thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedules and joining us for this conversation. Just to give you a little bit of a background, SCHOOLVERSITY, a talk show, which is OP Jindal Global University has started, and the theme being national education policy, holistic multidisciplinary education. The thought behind starting this talk show is to be able to have a platform where educators like you and educators from institutions of higher education like me can come together, share our thoughts on something that is, I think, one of the most critical development in terms of education, both at the school education level and at the higher education level that has happened in the recent past, which is the National Education Policy 2020. This is the third education policy that we've had after a gap of decades, and which looks at higher education and education landscape in India in new and imaginative ways, right? For the longest time, we thought of higher education in India, and I can speak of that as somebody who has been part of the higher education system for a while now, is that India was very much focused on producing disciplinary experts, right? But the new education policy proposes to break disciplinary boundaries, right? So that is at the heart of the new education policy. It talks about a choice-based credit system. It talks about an academic bank of credit. It talks about flexible entry and exit into the system of higher education, and reimagines the way we have, the way we had looked at higher education so far. In terms of school education, the policy focuses on overhauling the curriculum, quote unquote, easier board exam, reduction of syllabus while keeping the core essential. It focuses on experiential learning and critical thinking. So what does this kind of an imagination of education, both at the school education and higher education level, mean for the future of education in India? That is the kind of conversation that we need to have amongst us as educators, and that is the thought behind the panel discussion that we have initiated. With that, we are extremely fortunate to have with us a few of the leading educators in India today, who will be sharing their thoughts and views on the subject. We have Ms. Kaushaki Sondhi, who has very kindly agreed to be the keynote speaker for today's panel. She is principal, Holy Public Girls School in Agra. She is a board of advisory at Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering and Technology, member of Niti Aayog, Government of India, National VP, Women Empowerment at All India Council of Human Rights, Liberties and Social Justice. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining in. We are truly, truly happy to have you amongst us today. We also are very fortunate to have with us Dr. Rs Ruhal, who's an advocate, President Awardee, AIGR MP Police. We have Ms. Suvidha Mahali. She's principal, Mount Litera School, Pune. We have Dr. Pradeep Bhati, principal, Delhi Public School, Rohtak, Haryana. I want to take this opportunity to once again warmly welcome all our panelists to today's conversation. And I want to speak less and I want to hear more and learn more from all of you. So with that, Ms. Sondhi, over to you to kindly deliver your keynote address.
Thank you, Jindal Global University, for inviting, and thank you, Dr. Upasana, for that brief introduction. And really, I think all of us who are here right now on a learning stage again, because every day we are seeing that education is getting innovative in a way that unshaped future we are seeing right now. In the COVID, we have seen the hybrid kind of education. So we cannot say that all the norms which are being provided right now in the policies are going to be happen and held in the same way. But yes, I will be discussing today about the new education policies and what advantages and disadvantages would be faced by the students in the coming sessions and the years. So as we know that as per new education policy, it is already coming after 34 years. So that is already showing us that it was outdated, and now the new innovative idea and creation and creative thinking is being imposed, and it will give our future better results to the students. As we have seen the rule of 5 plus 3 plus 3 and 4 years concept. So I believe that this is something new and great, because as compared to the other countries, we have seen that the education started at the age of 8. In India, we started at the age of 3 plus. And that is, I think, providing the hard skill at that age is should not be the concept. Developing the sensory, focusing on the sensory development of a student at that particular age is more important, because that time student don't need the mental, intelligence, but yes, they need the sensory development in that. So that concept would be working in the education, I believe. And as we have seen also that the board have been removed for the 10th in the coming, education policy. So that concept, I think, providing less focus on, again, the hard skills, mark sheet pressure on the students and parents comparing their students, children with other students. That concept is also going to work again. And the examination for the 9th and 12th to make it more semester based, that is also a good concept, I believe. And yes, the one thing which is more important here, because more of the parents are like, if they are getting admission in the school, they need the student child to be more oriented with English, right? They are comparing the schools on the basis of that. So I believe that English focus have been shifted, and more of focus on the mother language have been provided, because in the coming years, Sanskrit will be one of the language which will be given due importance, because I think that will be a language for all. As we are seeing in Germany already, Sanskrit it's been one of the the primary subject in their curriculum. So this, and again, reducing the syllabus and focusing more on the soft skills. We need that, because soft skills give us communication, critical thinking, leadership quality, personality development, gestures, and all these things are required in the coming generation, because now CVs are being shortlisted on that particular performer only, as we are seeing that. So this thing is more important, and yes, focusing more on the coding, AI, data science, robotics, these things are to be enrolled in the coming sessions as per the new education policies, because yes, again, intelligence and interest should be there, and the more of careers should options to the student that will help them into develop in the coming years. So as per new education policy, again, if we see the multidisciplinary sector, yes, MTD, we call it MTD approach. So that is again a great performer. And the students are choosing their languages and choosing the subject area again, bifurcating them and making permutation and combination and doing that. That will give them more exposure and to have the unique education pattern and learn according to their will. So that will be happening in the coming years. And I think for that, we need more teachers to be groomed in that particular field, because students will be demanding more of the learning areas in these coming sessions. So students need to correlate what they need, and the teachers also need to understand what they need to provide here. Okay, and the things which will be seen as an enhancement in the coming years due to this multidisciplinary, areas of exposure and openings to the students, that will be critical thinking and the self-management. When we talk about self-management, now, Professor, I believe that, see, what we are doing here, we are doing the SWOT analysis with the students. We are telling them to do the SWOT analysis in the coming session. When we say SWOT analysis, they are able to understand what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, and they will be more career oriented from the very, early age. And what we have seen that we are not career oriented. We are feeding them the hard skills only, and the students are not career oriented. So we are making the students very much volunteer based education, what we call that. Again, with the degree, diploma, and all these stages, we are dividing them. We are giving them the segments again and again. So that will be happening, and the more adaptability will be seen in the this particular field when we are giving them exposure and we are making them to have the opportunities and making them more problem solving and examining the particular sector by having the decision making criteria in them. And these all things are a part of soft skills. So I believe in the coming session, the schools will be more hard skills, soft skills, and life skill oriented. The new education policy would be giving them all these criteria of understanding the hard skills, soft skills, and life skills balance, and that balance would be more able to make them focused person and have the particular kind of area they want to shift in the coming years. And yes, communication skills will be there, because we have seen that schools don't have, we have debate competitions. Yes, we have debate competition in the school, but yes, to that level of making them understand the diversity of delivering their speech to the particular person and getting the outcomes is not there. We are not working on that criteria. So that will also be seen, because they will be provided on a huge scale, making them talk to different kind of people, having the sessions, having the live session with the other kind of career oriented peoples. So there will be exposure with that, because if they are not reachable to particular person, the person can reach to them, because schools will be doing that in the coming session, because we have already started that in our school. So, and we are seeing a great result with that, because students are giving a response to the sessions we are conducting. Like on 15th, we have a session on mental health, where we are telling them how to decide their careers. So that session will be giving the better outcomes in the coming sessions. So, and yes, there will be no pressure, as we are seeing that students are more comparative, and parents are even comparing their child with the with the students around them. So that will not be happening with this new education policy. And one example I want to quote here, like this is something what I have analyzed over the period, that the sensory development is more important. But what we are doing, see, when a child is born, right, the sensory things are seen, that he is able to hear, listen, everything. But as we grow, we provide him the books, and the hard skills have been imposed over the student. And what happened, the intelligence start to overshadow all the sensory part of the child. So this need to be understood, that interest and intelligence go hand in hand, and that should be understood by a particular teacher, principal, the director, and all the people who are a part of a management. So that can happen. And yes, one more thing I would like to add here, that however, we are seeing that knowledge is being shared with the exposures, and the CVs will be get more diverse. But yes, that will hamper some part of a student, the new education policy, if we talk about. So the disadvantages which I'm seeing in the imposing this particular type of education in the coming session would be that the faculties need to be much updated, and we are not able to shortlist that faculty in a particular area zone. So that will be a very hard task for the principals. And yes, hard skill would be more as syllabus is been shortlisted and it's been cut off. So children will be less with the written skills, which we as a CBSE board, we have seen that the written skills are much taught from the childhood, but that can be hampered, what I observe particularly. And yes, standard major which been focused by the universities as specific field they require. So that will be hampered again, because we are working on a diverse field. So these kind of disadvantages can be faced with the new education policies, but there are some advantages also, like integrated approach and broad liberal education system. So yes, we have advantages and disadvantages, but it depends how we are going to shift and shuffle all the things and get the outcomes. So I believe that this is going to happen in the MTD approach. So let's see, and best of luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for so beautifully highlighting the strengths and weaknesses of the national education policy. And if I understand correctly, what you've said is that, it has its strengths, it has its weaknesses, but how it's going to actually play out will depend on the way we are able to implement it. With that, and before I move to my next speaker, I actually thought we lost her because of some technical issue, because I couldn't see her on my screen. So I wanted to come, but now I saw her. So I want to introduce Ms. Neena Bhall. Ma'am, are you with us? I thought I lost you in between.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, you are.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Thank you
so
much for joining in. Yes, I didn't see you on my screen, so I thought perhaps because of some technical issue you got dropped out. So she's principal, SNBP International School, Pune. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining in, and happy to see that you are there. I want to move to my next speaker to hear his reflection. I'm trying to do a gender balancing and go to one female speaker and then a male speaker, so that and sort of do it that way. So I want to move to Dr. Bhati, Dr. Pradeep Bhati, to hear his thoughts and reflections on the holistic multidisciplinary education that the NEP envisages both at the school education and higher education level. Over to you, Dr. Bhati.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Upasana and OP Jindal University and Mrs. Indu, just inviting us on this platform just to discuss the things about NEP 2020. So, and welcome to our other dignitaries also. They are with us. I'm agree to Mrs. Kaushaki Sondhi. She has just put her views. And we are very much happy just with this NEP 2020 because it recognized the ancient time also. And if we remember the ancient time when the universities like Takshila, Nalanda, and even if we go in the age of Dwapar Yuga, if we take the example of Lord Krishna, Rama, they used to just go in the, ashramas of the rishis, and they used to take the multidisciplinary education, right? And that was the really holistic education. And if we talk about the day, then maybe this NEP 2020 that will, fill up the gap, and that will break the boundaries of that time and this time. Because after 34 approximately years, this new education policy has come. And before that also, there were two policies, but education policies, but somehow else, the students, they were very rigid. And even the schools, the universities, they were also rigid to only the subject, the content, the degree, the diplomas, and the certificates, right? Suppose if I am a very weak student or the slow learner, and if I am willing for physics, for chemistry, mathematics, but suppose if I can't do well in that, so I can choose history along with the mathematics, I can choose sociology along with the physics. So,
Dr. Bhati, you got muted.
Sorry, actually.
No, no worries. Now we can hear you, and you're back on.
So now I think so the students, they will be more flexible in choosing the subjects. They can, increase their intellectual, their aesthetic, their social, physical, emotional, there are so many kind of the skills they can develop. And before this policy, even the students, they were just like the, rote education. Now they are flexible, and now they can recognize themselves, they can identify themselves, and they can foster their capabilities. But before that, a student, he is just only willing for science. He is quite in science stream. Are you listening, everyone, or just, I have lost my connection? Hello.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Because, sometimes,
yes, it can be very disconcerting.
Yes. Just I told you earlier.
We're all listening to you. Please
now, we can put more emphasis on the conceptual understanding with this NEP 2020 instead of just, rote learning and for just preparing for the exams and, and now with this help of this, or after the implementation of this NEP 2020, just we can use the technology in extensive way, right? Because today the globe is on different shape. and we require some skill development programs. If I take the example or the present, the pedagogy, the curriculum of NCERT, of the CBSE or any other board, the students, they don't have any kind of the skill development. Even the formative assessments and the summative assessment, they were implemented. And due to this COVID also, maybe they have lost some of their skills also. So when this NEP 2020 will be implemented, then definitely they will respect the diversity, and they will use the curriculum according to their choice, according to their requirement. And even the different kind of the higher education institutes also, like your university, there are other liberal universities are also there. They will just come up with liberal kind of the programs, the certificate course and the degree courses, right now some integrated programs are there. Even in education colleges also, the B.Ed colleges, the students, they are not going only just they have the degrees. So such kind of the education, that will not work. Because teacher, either we are in school or we are in college or we are in university, we are the future maker. So now in NEP 2020, they have just restructured the school curriculum also with a new pedagogy of 5+3+3+4 design, because they want to reduce the curriculum. And only why they want to reduce the curriculum, just to enhance the essential learnings of the students and just to develop the critical thinking of the students, so that the students, they can enjoy, they can be engaged in different kind of the skills during their schooling, right? So if we provide the students just the flexibility in the course choice, just by then we can empower the capabilities of the students. And by doing this, only just with the integration of co-curricular and scholastic skills, and with the integration of essential subjects like the skills and capacities, just we can build our youth, our future in a different shape. So now if I take just in somehow if I focus some finds on skill development, even some universities, they have come in India with their different kind of skill development programs, because today they are thinking this is the dire necessity. If I go back to my schooling time, I today remember that we used to make candles, we used to make chairs, dari, and even there were different kind of the work, right? In the beginning, just I have taken the example of Takshila University and by Rama, Krishna, and the different ashrams, because there the students, they used to learn everything in the feet of the gurus, without any kind of diversity, without any kind of color, caste, religion, reason, right? So because, and the mall education, that was only imbibed in that. They used to take, or they used to enhance the skills in the feet of the gurus. So again, suppose if this this NEP is implemented, then definitely the students, they will learn according to their choice. And the one thing is more, because some relaxation is also given to choose the local language. In rural areas, there is such kind of the students also, just they are not very much communicative in English or Hindi. Maybe suppose if I take an example of the remote areas, right? The people, even they don't have the cities up to 50 kilometers, up to 100 kilometers, they can't avail the facility of this with the modern gadgets. So even with their requirements, they can have the education in their local language also, and they can be evaluated on the different parameters as per their requirements. So I think so, there are shortcomings also in every policies. If there is some good thing is also there, something is shortcoming also will be there. So overall, if this NEP is implemented, then definitely the students, they will get the benefit of that. But one thing, we are the person to implement that, because in India, everything is on paper. If I see the engineering colleges, if I see, the B.Ed colleges, even the pharmacy colleges, the students, they never go to the college, just they are sitting in their house or they are doing some other work, but they are getting the degrees. So if any policy is implemented, that should be respectfully implemented with a good spirit, with a good, with that vision that every child should get the benefit of that. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very succinctly put, and it is very interesting for me, Dr. Bhati and Ms. Sondhi spoke before this, that largely I see, based on what both of you spoke about, that there is a positivity that you attach with this development, which is the national education policy. You spoke about Dr. Bhati, for example, how it will help develop conceptual learning or enhance skills like critical thinking, problem solving. And you also looked at the emphasis that NEP pays on local languages and regional languages as a sign that would be beneficial to the student or the learning community. And it is wonderful to know. But what kind of, and I'm going to come to Ms. Mahali for her reflections, that, Ms. Sondhi also spoke about it briefly when she spoke about the need for teachers training, for instance. So on the one hand, yes, it's a very, very visionary document, which looks at an, overhauling of the education system as we know it, right? But what kind of structural support mechanisms need to be in place to be able to make it happen? Right. So one hand is this idea that, yes, it is essentially going to bring in the kind of changes. For example, Dr. Bhati talked about the enhanced use of technology, which is actually a brilliant point. The fact that, NEP also focuses on it. If the pandemic has taught us anything, is the need for enhanced use of technology, but also the fact that we live in a deeply digitally divided world, that many of us do not have access to technology. So in that context, how do you see, at a more practical level, NEP? So what are the steps need to be taken so that the vision that is there in NEP is able to implement, is to be implemented in its true spirit? Over to you, Ms. Mahali, your thoughts and reflections, please.
Yeah, so basically, again, like I thank you everyone for taking me on board on the panel, and I believe Ms. Sondhi and Mr. Bhatia has already covered up so many basics. Like when it comes to application of a new policy, like with regards to education, and this is the base where we are going to face the next generations. All right, so. As said earlier, if there are pros, there are cons as well. So the structure, the age structure that has been applied is really appreciable, that I feel. Okay, for this 5+3+3 structure, somewhere what I feel is when it comes to primary education, we focus on, as Ms. Sondhi said, we focus on more hard skills and soft skills. I really believe and I feel that moreover focus has to be given on the primary education when it comes to grade nursery till grade 2 or 3. Basically, as Ms. Sondhi said, that we focus more on our sensory development skills and motor development skills. So it has to be a concrete education, or it has to be a concrete curriculum followed all across India. If we feel that India has to be reflected on the globe in terms of well-developed education. So that is the first thing what I feel has to be focused on. Secondly, as you suggested, as you said about teachers training programs. But as per the new education policy, it's suggested that the basic the language, the base language that the studies or the curriculum has to be taught, it should be in mother tongue. Is it going to be applicable for each and every teacher? Because for that instance, if I speak about my own school, I have, being in Maharashtra, we have Marathi speaking teachers, we have non-Maharashtrian teachers. So how about the language that we are going to emphasize on, focusing on the basic language that the curriculum has to be taught? That is a very important point that I feel is a debatable question. We can't thrust on such, points that it has to be, the basic education has to be given in the local language. We can't do that, right? Secondly, I think there was a point that I happened to read was all about Bhall Bhavans to be, introduced in each and every district and state of, across India. So how are we going to relate it with the schools? It has to be balanced. If we focus only on schooling, if we obviously we look forward for curriculum, balanced curriculum, be it post-scholastic, be it your core subjects. How are we going to focus on the Bhall Bhavans? How are we going to introduce it? It again comes with a responsibility for our act of RTE. How are we going to focus on the students who have the right to education, who are underprivileged? So these are the basic points that I feel that we should focus on. Moreover, there was a point that I happened to read. According to the new education policy, it says that an academic bank credit will be established going forward for higher grades for college level students. If we are planning, if the new education policy is planning on changing the structure for the degree courses of 4 years from diploma of 2 years to 4 years, I believe there would be a huge loss of students. I mean, dropout would be more as compared to continuation of the education. 4 years of a degree course, wherein we are again planning, the new education policy says that we are eradicating MPhil, wherein MPhil was always balanced with a PhD degree course, right? So obviously there are certain pros, there are certain cons that we need to focus on this. If at all we feel that any particular child who is opting for an academic course, for degree course for 4 years, and you are kind of, I don't know if it's the right word to say, if you're bribing the children, calling it as an academic bank of credit, which will be established and would be beneficial for the student after he completes his degree course, be it whatever. So how are we going to make sure that the children, they sustain all 4 years of courses? Pandemic has taught us that situations are very uncertain. So we need to think on the ground level of the people or students, what background do they come from. When it comes to application of a policy, it should not be superficial. It should not be attractive. We need to really go down to the grassroots level and understand the situation, what the children are going to go through. So basically, I think these are the points that I felt like should be highlighted. Moreover, Ms. Sondhi and Dr. Bhati had already covered up good points. So these were the basic points that I thought of shadowing a little bit.
Oh, thank you very much, Ms. Mahali. And actually, you took the conversation in a very, very interesting direction. And I think, few of the things that you spoke about, for example, the academic bank of credit, which sounds like a great idea, but yes, what could be the possible pitfalls of an idea like that? Exactly. And, in one of the earlier conversations, we were talking about, higher dropouts, particularly of women from institutions of higher education. And, this may become an excuse, you can come and finish your studies anytime, put it in the academic bank and now get married and, you will Absolutely. Come back later. So there is, of course, these are very real and practical fears. Also, the fact that, I'm all for, it is all about multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity. At the heart of is a very good concept. But is the market going to be providing jobs exactly. based on what you have acquired? For example, you can do, say, engineering with music, which is great. But is there a demand in the market for an engineering who's doing very good music? So, we have to also start thinking about, so probably the shift has to occur at multiple levels for it to be able to truly be implemented. So thank you, Ms. Mahali, actually to bring in this critical lens to the conversation. And with that, I want to go to Ms. Neena Bhalla, ma'am, for your thoughts and reflections on the conversation. You have to unmute. You're muted, ma'am.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Upasana. Just taking ahead from what Madam Mahali had to say, from the school level. Now, actually, let me go to the grassroots level of what is multidisciplinary approach, or what is, say multidisciplinary. As per the definition, it says something that combines several fields of study or academic interest. For example, when you study math, science, English, history all together. Now, what I think, as per my point of view, is this is actually the need of the hour, because when I'm talking about a primary school teacher or a primary school which is catering to the society, the development of skill and identification of your potential is very important. Now, it is very, very difficult for a child to, support the interest or support the personal skills if it is not given an opening right at the primary level. So I simply take a simple example, like we are teaching, suppose, computers in school. We are not developing computer professionals, but we are making them friends to computers, so that tomorrow, if their interest develops, they should not find themselves totally. There are some children who do not like working on computer or learning computer. So there is an identification of what is their interest. Similarly, academics, when a child enters a school, academics is going to happen. English, Hindi, math, science, all subjects is going to happen. But what interests the child more is to develop the skill, or to add up the other opportunities also for the child in terms of music, in terms of dramatics. And so it is going to give a very, very stable, approach for the child, so that he or she is able to identify his interests, his skills, and the application of whatever the skill he is into his real life. So what I think personally, and as well as what we cater to our children, is we give them an opportunity to, explore all sorts of skills and all sorts of, you could say, activities or subjects, and identify their interest. Sometimes parents say, okay, I am giving karate and I'm giving skating, but my child doesn't want. So it said, I am not giving him as this thing. This is basically a stress buster, number one. And number two, identify. A child who's identified as a good skater at standard 1 or standard 2 level comes out to be a national skater after a couple of years. This is how, if the child is interested. If the child is not interested, he will not even, select that particular subject in grade 2 or grade 3 also. So, and most thing is, it gives us an opportunity to link the child's interest to the different subjects, which is very important. Gone are the days when the teacher used to, teach, the child used to learn and then mug it up and puke it up. Now understanding is taking a great effort, because self-exploration, thanks to this pandemic also, self-exploration and self-study and, independent working has taken the students way ahead from what we are also thinking of. So at this time, if we are able to cater their interests, I think sky will be the limit for them to achieve. When you talk about a small child of 6-year-old, 7-year-old, they hardly have any interest of, a particular, whether I like this or like. Gradually the interest, but definitely what they don't like, they're very clear about. So if we give them a proper platform, they will be able, and as rightly said by Dr. Upasana, that do we have the right opportunities around? Yes. Again, the society has to work to develop that, because most of the time it happens is that the child is not getting a proper opening of his or her interest. As a result, it becomes a monotonous work for him to go, because they have to earn bread for their families. So it becomes little bit difficult. But if it is skill oriented, a lot of opportunities are there. They will find out ways to, develop more of it. So it actually ultimately gave us a holistic development of an individual. So, we say jack of all, master of none. But at the same point of time, jack of all gives us an opportunity that which master I want to become. So this is what is the schools have to do. And I think NEP is going to do the best way to incorporate this at school level, because at the time of 11th and 12th, or maybe after 12, when the child sits and decides what stream he or she has to go for the career building, his interests take a backseat. His skills development takes a backseat because now he's focused on. But if he starts right from the ground root level, it definitely helps the child to develop. And I think big universities like Jindal and all can definitely develop certain courses which can help these children to develop the skills. Today, you pick up a stone and you get n number of opportunities available for any field you talk about. Exploration is required. Rather, what we try to do it at our school level is that we should incorporate exposure of children to this level. That what is their ultimate aim. So when we talk about career building starting from standard 8, 9, 10, it should start from junior classes, wherein they identify and then they polish their skill and go ahead. And when you talk about multidisciplinary, today, I don't know whether you all agree with me or not, but I say what I learned in my 11th and 12th as the basics, yes, but have I used it anywhere? When I do this multidisciplinary, this thing plus skill developed along with it, I'll definitely, try to link what I learned in my primary level and what I learned in my secondary level or senior secondary level and college level. So there will be a linker. So definitely it will help our children to be a better, stable and, give a strong foundation to the country if they have this kind of an approach. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ms. Bhalla. I think it was really, really refreshing to hear the thoughts that you shared and what you said, developments of skill and identification of one's own potential. I think that should be at the heart of the education system. And I think, and you did not say it in so many words, but when I was listening to you, I think there is also a distinction when you talk, you make between jobs and career. A career is something that you build and develop and you become a part of. A job is something that is external. A job could be a part of that career enhancement and development process. A job cannot be the end goal or the only goal of that process. There is so much more to it. So really, thank you so much for bringing it out so beautifully. I want to go to the final speaker of the session, Dr. Rs Ruhal. Dr. Ruhal, are you there? Can you hear me? I cannot see you though. Dr. Ruhal?
Good evening.
Good evening. Over to you. I would love to hear your thoughts and reflections.
Okay, thank you, madam. So very firstly, I thank Professor Pasna Manta and Mrs. Indu Kaul. You insert me as a speaker and part of this global university part. NEP 2020 that started in this year after passing from Parliament. The system of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 up to 12th standard. I leaving this all, but you that elaborate explained by other previous speakers. I just go to the system of higher education. This is very well established in the NEP. Just after 12, we go to the higher education, and that is a diversity in the code. In that system, the very first year, the person go in the higher education, that get certificate. What I'm saying, if we follow this NIP system, the first year certificate, second year diploma, third year diploma degree, such type of a system you cannot find anywhere in the any system of the other country. Some of the part we are not sufficient to fill up the fees even. So some of the people, they are not having a system to move further. So they person, they can get certificate and they can attend to. After diploma, they can make a career. Such type of system we are not finding any system. In the 34 years education system, we could not find. And this NEP 2020 having some of the part we can showing the welfare of student even as well as the parents also. Some of the part MPL and this PAD, sometimes they are going and running as a same system. So now this system is going to remove this MPhil. And after MA, one candidate can complete the PhD also. I'm not going to this thing. Everything is there, but I'm going to the merit के साथ साथ जो demerits होती है, I'm saying at the part of the sports, NEP having only word that is sports activities. But I'm concerned with the physical education, with the a part of life. If the system of physical education is not inserted in the education policy, so we people, we are contesting and talking and having hosting webinar. Some minutes must be maybe sent for this insertion in this EP. Just to see in the way you can leave the system and you go to for other course. तो हिंदी में वर्ड उसमें लिखा है सीमित समय के लिए. The time is not specified how much time we can avail for the next course. That must be clear. Higher education, where there is according to the Siddharth, we are just going to just started this NEP 2020. So we cannot say that the all right. We are just experimental. We started. If something wrong in the way, so we have to correct it. That likewise, physical education Manchuria में निश्चित रूप से जो phenomena होता है जिसमें catch them young and train them well. So such type of episode in the part of this subject that is not inside the NEP. Everything detailed by Mrs. Mahali, Bhall and Mr. Bhati, nothing is there to explain, but this thing, see, I just indicated that maybe inserted in the minute or maybe added in the NEP also. Once again, I thank to Professor Upadna and Mrs. Indu Call. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And thank you for bringing the attention actually to the system of physical education and NEP. And I think that is a very, very important question to address because, you know, how do we look at the issue of physical education vis-a-vis NEP and what kind of possible structural support can be provided in order to be able to do it in more effective and innovative ways is something that we all must focus on and talk about. So thank you for bringing that in to the conversation.
Okay,
With that, we do not have much time left, but I want to go to each of the speakers again in terms of concluding observation, and I have a question that I want to throw at all of you, which is that, and that is the idea behind doing this kind of a conversation, is that, see, we are an institution of higher education, and there are many like us who, and also we are a private institution of higher education, right? We have been recognized as an institution of eminence by the government of India. And we feel that there is and many of the things that NEP envisages in terms of interdisciplinarity or multidisciplinarity or internationalization and so on and so forth are some of the things that we are already engaging in, right? But, universities do not operate in silos or in isolation than the school education system. We are closely connected to each other, right? So what is being done at the school education level directly impacts us. So NEP, in terms of what is envisages at the school education level, will have a direct impact on universities. Or some of the things that we are doing at the university level. For example, Ms. Bhalla, you in your talk spoke about universities should have innovative courses, and which is a very important and a critical thing to say, that what could universities do as institutions of higher education to be able to make, and we're calling the Schoolversity. The idea is that what kind of contributions can we make as institutions of higher education and learning to educators, to the institutions at the school education level. What can we do together? What can we do to come together and work together in ways which can make the vision of NEP to be translated into reality possible? Right? What role and responsibility do we have? So if I could briefly we'll follow the same order to each one of you to hear your brief reflections on what would you think are the ways in which we as educators can come together, or we as institutions of higher education can do differently from what we are currently doing, so that this kind of bridge between school education and college university education can happen. So Ms. Sondhi, I'm going to come back to you, and perhaps each speaker can take a couple of minutes to reflect briefly before we conclude. Yeah.
Professor Upasana, I believe that what universities can do right now is, as I'm already working with more than 3 universities. So what I am doing at my level, I am collaborating with them at each stage of learning. What we are doing, I'm bringing the raw examples and raw advices from the people who are being at a position, like as I told you, like on 16th we are getting some session. So I'm calling the universities people, professors, educators, and learners and change makers to our school, inviting them and making them to have a session and live conversation with students, which was happening before on a hybrid mode because it was not possible due to COVID. So now we have started the direct link with the universities. So the students who are interested in particular kind of field and can get benefit from that kind of university, so they can directly approach them and have a direct link with them, because see, however we can deliver to them, but things will still not be same as compared to the person who is in a physical form, telling them to explore the particular field. And this new education policy is a call that these kind of collaboration and associations are required in the coming sessions, because that will make them more, I call it human libraries. Human libraries means that the person are working on a same platforms together and in a more diverse form, because ultimately students have to walk to the university or to the colleges ultimately and then go to some career options. So that kind of human libraries should be open to the students. And what again we can do, we can have a personality development skills along with that, and we can collaborate some startups like robotics or AI, who are doing a great job. Like what I have done right now, I'm working with a smart robotics labs. They are from Jaipur, and I have collaborated with them and collaborated with one university to bring our ultimate change to the with this new education policy. However, we talk about these things are on papers. We have to bring them into a practical format, and this can happen by collaborating, networking, and making children to get network based learning. When their network based learning is getting enhanced, I believe then they can explore and they can meet new people and understand, okay, if I'm choosing these subjects, then what next? Right? So that can be happened, I believe. Thank you.
Oh, that is wonderful. Thank you very much. And we've taken note of it. And I completely agree that there needs to be more connect, more conversation. I love the idea of human libraries and doing some kind of collaborative work where, this kind of conversations are possible. And we have direct conversations with students about what is there waiting for them in the context of higher education institutions. So thank you very much, Ms. Sondhi, for that. Dr. Bhati, I'm coming to you to hear your quick thoughts.
Yeah, Dr. Upasana, actually, I want to quote one thing. 4 years is equal to 40 years. Means the students in 9th, 10th, and 11th, they have 4 years. And after that 4 years of learning from 9th to 12th, they just fix the next path, right? And after 12th, definitely their situation, their condition is like that 2 roads diverge in a yellow wood, right? They are confused what to do, what not to do. Even, the different kind of the universities, they are giving they're providing the different kind of the courses. So we are the facilitator, we are the mentor, we are the guide. And since school and universities, colleges, they are interconnected for the future of the students. So I think so from 9th class, students should be very much flexible. They must be, very much free just to choose the course, the contents, the curriculum, so that they can fix even the, next their path. And even I think so the schools also should get associated with the different universities for their career counseling, for the motivation, and the different kind of courses that they are imparting in their they are providing the courses in their universities. So at the age of just 15 or 16, they should know, yes, what is the future, and in future what is the demand, what is their requirement, where the globe is going, what are the change that we are looking forward. So if the students from 9th class, if they are made aware about all these things, so I think so that will be very much be beneficial for them. And for that, definitely universities like you and other universities also, they can get associated, and definitely they should guide your training and placement officers, even in the universities, even the admission cell and different expertise expert people. They should visit the school, they should get associated with the school, so that they can guide the students in 11th and 12th, right? So I think so that will be very much better.
Oh, thank you very much. And I appreciate what you said, that the 9, 10, 11, 12 time, whether right or wrong, becomes very, very crucial. That defines a large chunk of how, the life of a learner.
Yeah, because sorry to stop you, because, even the parents, they are ignorant.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
Don't know everything,
I
this
agree.
is today is, this is world is like 3D, not 3D, this is multidimensional. Right, so
I
we don't
totally
know
agree, Dr. Pradeep. Here, I will definitely going to interrupt. I'm sorry for that, but I
No,
have
it's
stopped
okay.
myself. See, what I've seen that Oxford is already working on that. Harvard and Oxford, they are working on the family engagement thing right now.
Yeah,
Family engagement means where parents, 3-dimensional concept they are following, where the parents, students, and the teachers are involved, and they are getting the right to explain their views together. So in that family engagement, universities can also be a part, because ultimately what we are doing, yes, they should be. So it should be 4-dimensional here. It should not be 3-dimensional. Then only the new education policy will ultimately give the outcome which we are looking for.
That's why I'm saying it multi-dimensional, not four-dimensional. This is multi-dimensional.
Yes, exactly, right.
And even the students, you know, after 12th, just they are firing their bullets in the bushes without any purpose. They don't know where just to fire it.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
So
and sometimes perhaps there is nobody to tell the students that it is okay to be a little bit confused.
They are just following the peer, you know, the friends going, okay, I'm following them. So that peering should also be break and let them know that, okay, this is required, this is not required.
No, thank you. Thank you for those inputs. Ms. Mahali, over to you.
Yeah, so I again agree with Mr. Pradeep, Dr. Pradeep. Vocational education that we are going to, you know, show some emphasis on during the schooling of the children. I would probably suggest that, you know, basic knowledge and basic education on focusing on subjects like agriculture is equally important, because nowadays, you know, choosing your career has become your standard, which I don't think so. Here again, it is a major role of the principal and the teachers or the organization, making it understand, making the students understand the importance of each and every career that they're going to choose. Wherein, since I've been reading the new education policy, we see that, you know, emphasis is given on agriculture, choosing agriculture as a field. So, as Dr. Pradeep and Ms. Sondhi said, that universities and the schools have to be interconnected, interlinked in choosing the vocational courses as well.
Definitely.
If my school is ready to provide a certain vocational course, and if the child is showing interest in, you know, learning a particular course during the schooling, and he doesn't have that option while his college days, wouldn't work. It would be a complete transition phase for the child as well. So we need to understand the psychology of the children as well. We need to understand the psychology of the parents. Nowadays, parents are like, you know, thrusting upon the career choices, which they couldn't fulfill. My child has to do that for me. So I won't, I mean, basically, I completely disagree, you know, like as in ma'am and sir, both of you said it's multi-dimensional and everybody has to play a vital role in developing a career, wherein, you know, being job oriented and being career oriented. These are two different concepts. Career oriented will have to be it has to be hardcore. Jobs, you will keep on switching the jobs. So career is always of something that will come from your heart, which you're going to choose out of your choices, out of your likeness, and then only we can see quality development. We just don't want to produce, we want to have quality as well. So quantitative and qualitative development is equally important when it comes to choosing the careers of the, you know, children going ahead.
No, thank you. Yes, absolutely. And I think this also ties up with what Ms. Bhalla, and I'm coming to you, that you said earlier. You know, the question of vocational education, the questions of career versus jobs, and which Ms. Mahali said very nicely, jobs can come and go, or you may shift from one job to the other. But how do you see that as part of the larger career trajectory that you have for yourself? So Ms. Bhalla, over to you, please.
Yeah. Actually, going on the same things that Sondhi ma'am has said, or Bhati sir and Mahali ma'am has said, now it is universities and school all are interlinked. You cannot keep them as a standalone this thing. What we think for the biggest collaboration, as Sondhi ma'am said very rightly, that there need to be a connectivity, that the child, from where the child is started and from where to where the child is, it is basically no more like this thing from a known a child is going to unknown. The child should know where he's ending to. This will help him to, you know, nurture his interest, nurture his, skills. And there is a very, very different kind of individual which will be coming out, rather than just a monotonous. I mean, if you take about going for a medical or an engineering exclusively, you get engineers and doctors, but then that are made by curriculum. This is nothing to do with, you know, now we hear them saying that we have done so much, we have studied so much, but then the skill development, the interest, where does it go? So when we talk about the linking of universities, the universities can come down to school to have an interactive session with the children, so that to get the in-depth view of what the child is looking at. you know, there are certain expectations. When I go to a particular school, I have an expectation that my child or I as a student will be able to achieve this. Similarly, a child should get an opportunity to know that today, if I go to Jindal, what is my goal? What will I achieve? And how will I nurture my skills along with that? So it has to go hand in hand. It has to have a, you know, a sort of a backup kind of a thing for the child. And there should be something which the child look forward to. For that, maybe there were certain changes required at the level of school also, and certain changes which are required at the level of universities also. But if the final package that we get is a happy, very well developed and very, very, you know, intellectual, as well as, you know, a full-fledged citizen coming out, it gives us, you know, the total satisfaction comes back to us. So it is like the school and the university have to go hand in hand with this new education policy implemented, because when we are doing that at skill level or holistic development and all other things at school level, it should not stop there. It should go further ahead in the university so that the child find themselves linked. It should not happen that what I studied in school and what I learned and what I developed in school is futile and I have to start all over again as a different platform. So that is my view.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'll come back. I'll try and sort of weave everything into one concluding remark. But before that, I want to come finally to Dr. Ruhal. Any final thoughts and reflections, sir?
Dr. Upassana.
Thank you very much. I'm nothing, but the point of physical education is very important, not in school, even higher education is also essential. That may be combined with the schools and university also, and school and colleges, including universities, they must be connected in all regards. Any activity which is going to be participated or advanced education, part of university, they may visit the schools, just Bhati said, and Madam Bhane also said. So I agree with that content. So nothing to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you so much all for all the time that you have given to this conversation.
Dr. Upassana, I wanted to add one line here. Definitely. I can't stop myself because this is something going on interesting and everyone has so much to, you know, I'm learning so much today.
Yes, please.
Okay. So what I find is that university prefer a standard major when we are coming from and what now new education policy is making education a diverse field. So this combination cannot be happen. Like a student is learning the diverse majors and going to a standard major. So even the university need to be very relaxed with the children they will be facing in the coming years, and they can only understand the concept by, you know, getting connected at every level. So there should be a direct link between the student and to which university they are landing. So each school should have a direct connect with that kind of university the students is looking for. They should shortlist them. They should have a direct link with them. Even the universities can walk in and have sessions and just explore that, okay, these kind of students need, you know, they want to enroll in the coming years. So that can be happen, and more of a diverse education and brief education should be focused. So that's all.
No, thank you very much, Ms. Sondhi, for highlighting that. And actually, you'll be very happy to know, say, for example, at our university, a student, if suppose a student is doing a liberal arts program, can have a self-designed major. So in the past, actually, our students have designed majors like environmental psychology, has gone on to do very successful careers in that. We have, in fact, it is compulsory in our university for an undergrad student to do minimum 3 internships, which is related to the field that they're studying, which is, the idea of praxis-based learning, or the fact that a student from, say, who's doing law can take an elective at the business school. And so you can study, say, international law and international trade at the same time to understand the interconnectedness and the ways, and also the pedagogic tools and curriculums that we use. We try and make it as interdisciplinary as possible so that kind of understanding and movement. But I completely agree with your point that kind of multidisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity that exists must be communicated to the students at the school level. And something that Ms. Bhall said very beautifully, that universities and schools are not standalone institutions, and they must go hand in hand. And it's not like a journey from a known to unknown, but it should be, and it ties up with what Ms. Sondhi, you are talking about, the fact that they should have a clear picture and to know how to, what is it that they're going to expect. You spoke about human libraries, and this whole idea of family engagement that you spoke about, the fact that the stakeholders are at multiple levels, that we as educators must play the role of facilitator and guide, that the focus on vocational education, the focus on psychology of parents and children, and other possible stakeholders. And I think that also tells us at the end of the day that we do not operate in silos, and that we must come together as educators, not only to have these conversations, but also to create very, very strong action points and agendas through which we can, many of the things that we are talking about today can be implemented, through which that has been laid out can be realized. With that, we're really out of time. So I would like to conclude. Ms. Bhall, I can see that you're raising your hand. Very briefly, please.
Yeah, I just want to add up one small thing over here. Like the universities also, along with the school, have to work with a target. Like it should not happen that a child who has done science and has done engineering ends up doing MBA and sitting in a bank.
Yeah, very true.
Exactly. Very, very right.
Very true.
What is the scenario which leads to totally unsatisfied citizens? So there has to be a link between the career, and that will happen if the proper guidance and proper platforms are given at each level, starting from school till college, and maybe beyond college also, beyond your college, universities, and for the higher studies also. So it gives them a complete platform to get a satisfied career.
I want to add only one sentence here, Dr. Bhall. Actually, there is a big difference in proving and improving. These days, just all the universities or the colleges, they are trying to prove themselves. They are not improving. If they improve, then definitely such type of the problems, they will not occur, in the way of the students.
Dr. Bhati,
Dr. Bhati, as the final word, as the moderator, I would request all of you to look at this as an effort to improve.
Exactly.
Am I right or wrong? On this platform?
Absolutely
right.
Absolutely right, sir. And
they are proving, they are not improving. If you improve, then there is no need to prove.
And let us become the change initiators.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I really look at this platform as that.
And Dr. Upasana, before sorry to interrupt again, Dr. Upasana, before the introduction of this NEP 2020 in India, there were many different universities. They came up with liberal courses, right? But even the students and the parents, they are not aware of those courses and everything.
Dr. Ruhal, may I request you to mute yourself? I think your phone is ringing. So, yes, please, Dr. Bhati.
Actually, what I was saying, before the introduction of this NEP 2020, there were many universities in India with liberal kind of courses and degrees, certificate course and different things, right? And even with the skill development and vocational courses also. But all the parents, actually, they are not, aware of all these things. So the need is to make them aware of all the courses which university is imparting, what kind of the education, what kind of the courses they are providing for the students and everything. So such type of the awareness that should be there to the parents. I think so. I don't know I am right or wrong.
No, I do not think that there is anything wrong in what you have said at all. And I think many universities like ours are willing to do that. If you think that our coming,
I believe that will only
I have
happen
seen
if we-
that OP Jindal have collaborated in the coming, like last I've seen with Coursera, I believe. I
Yes.
don't remember, right?
Yes,
so I
Coursera.
seen that post and I was very happy. I've commented also that this is going to happen. Like we are seeking this actually. When Coursera and universities are getting collaborating, they are working together, and then they are putting something to the schools. So
Yeah.
ultimately, this we are needed in the coming sessions, and that will give us the true results of new education policy.
Thank you very much. And on that beautiful note and beautiful thought, and on the very positive note that we are trying to bring the change that we want to see, and that we are trying to continuing to improve ourselves by talking to educators like you and trying to find ways in which we can positively and in innovative ways contribute to the process of shift that we see in the education system in India. So on that very positive note, I want to thank once again all our distinguished panelists, Ms. Kaushaki, Sondhi, thank you so much. Ms. Mahali, thank you very much for joining us. Ms. Neena, Bhall, thank you. Dr. Rs Ruhal and Dr. Pradeep, Bhati, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
For
Thanks to
joining
all
us,
of you.
for sharing your thoughts.